With that, I will call this meeting to order. Welcome. Tonight we got a couple guests, so we'll keep it moving as best we can. But first off, I'll put forward a motion to approve our minutes from last time. Are there any things?
Yeah, I just want to correct one typo in item 6, the discussion and enforcement of forest stewardship plans. We've got Rich Bradway from the Sheffield Land Trust. He's actually from the Stockbridge Land Trust.
Got it.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay. Anything else? All right, so do I have a second to approve minutes?
Second.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. First up, Stuart is with us. If you want to come sit up here so everyone can see you. And we'll talk about the farmer's market. And we had a little bit of an update last time from you, so we got kind of a gist.
Yes. Did you happen to get the very latest email I
Yes.
sent you?
Yes.
Yes, because it looks like we do have enough vendors to go forward. Suddenly we had some that dropped out, but we had a couple that came on just today. You saw who we now have.
So it says we have, tell me if I'm pronouncing this correctly.
The Abode and
Yep.
Gaetano's.
Swallow Belly Farm, which is a pork producer. Prata de Lana, which is the local wool. And then we have a maple syrup, which I still have to get back to.
Yeah.
Contact.
Yeah.
Maple syrup and honey vendor.
I think he does both, but anyway, I mean, it's been a couple of months since I talked to him, but he said he was going to do it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure if he didn't, for some reason, we can find somebody else that would do that also, because there's a couple more of them around.
Yeah.
So that's what, about 4 or 5, which I think is probably sufficient. Well, I mean, I don't know. That's just, I think it's good enough because I like what you had to say, where you said, if we go forward, I think we'll probably, if we make a definite yes to this, I think that will start to draw 1 or 2 more in probably. I think, Sean Stanton may decide to come on board. Who knows, maybe in a couple of months once he sees what's going on.
Well, I think just to make clear to everyone too, is I think from what I understand, Stuart, a couple people have kind of retract based on personal issues around staffing and what they're seeing for their years. So, and I think the sense I get this time of year, it's such a fluctuation because you're trying to plan your year out and you're trying to read the field and see into the future of how much you can actually handle. So I think my sense, and Eric can, speak to, the farmers markets more, the people we have here may be able to draw a couple more friends in if they know some other people. But I also want to project that we are confident to say that we are coming to this and trying to really make a strong effort. Otherwise, if we don't say it and it's wishy-washy, then it's hard for people to be confident.
Yeah.
Us and make a definite plan with it.
So who's the anchor produce?
That'd be Gastanos.
No, that's the Abode.
The Abode, excuse me.
The Abode Farms.
Yes.
Well, the Abode is an excellent group of people. They're USDA certified organic. Everything they have is organic. And they actually far exceed the actual requirements of the USDA. For instance, the USDA only requires that you have land that's organic for 3 years. Their land has been organic for at least 50 years and probably forever. But I traced it back 50 years. And also, it's not just that it's organic, but they're also totally committed to building up the soil so that the food is really nutritious, which is, the USDA doesn't care if your soil's depleted. But these people are totally dedicated to that.
Great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what.
Where are they located?
Well, they're actually over in New Lebanon, New York.
Mhm.
They just happen to be the closest anchor farm that we can find.
Well, it's great that they're willing to
Yeah.
be here. Yeah,
Great.
good.
And Gitano's is also organic.
Right.
They're a much smaller producer, but when I talk to them, I think they're going to have somewhat different vegetables than what the Abode has. So it'll be a nice mix.
Great.
And then, of course, if we can find someone else, that wants to come in even last minute kind of, we can easily accommodate that, I believe.
Do we have a time, a day and a time that they can all?
Well, we've been operating all along on Wednesday afternoons. We've been saying mid-July to about Labor Day. I think what needs to happen is we do need to say something definite here tonight. Just make a decision and say, this is what we're doing, because that really helps people
Yep.
know what they're doing. So I'm assuming that we're thinking most markets are about 3 hours long.
Mhm.
I'm assuming we're saying something like 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. But we haven't really decided that. I prefer 2 to 5, except if we do 2 to 5, then people that don't get off work till 5 might miss it. So that's why I'm figuring 3 to 6.
Well, and along those veins, it more sounds like too, that like, that's a very good parameter to start with. If that's okay with everyone, to then take this and maybe set a date to get them on the phone or Zoom or like have a talk with all of them to start bringing them in to talk about it and make sure they're okay with everything. So have someone from the Abode. So I'll like try to get them, set a date and time for us to meet. Whether, it's my take, and people can tell me if I feel like if one of us is there, Stuart, and then we could all talk with them. Because I think they need to really sign on to that.
Yeah, well, I can tell you right now, everybody who's
Yeah.
signed on is assuming we're doing Wednesday afternoons.
Okay.
So then I think that we just gotta get them in to talk about it and plan it and see what they need for support, just to have like an introductory meeting.
Okay,
Just to get everyone like in the same room, so they're all on board together.
okay.
Because obviously we're kind of like helping them with advertising, and we'll start figuring that out, I think, and getting the people there. It's more so that everyone's working together on it, to kind of just have like a orientation almost. And say to them that we are seeking other people. If they know anyone or if they've heard of anyone that they might be, say like, oh, this person might want to come, and get them helping us to kind of draw a couple of their friends in. Because it's a small network here, so I feel like they gotta, know what people are saying.
It's not as small as you think. You put out that you're looking for a limited number
Yeah.
of vendors. You'll get more than you think. You have to just specify that it's not arts and crafts and t-shirts.
Right,
I think we've done that
Yeah.
well so far.
yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, you will, there will be other people.
yeah. Now, and so the other thing is that means moving forward with SNAP.
Yes, and so if you are in order for this to go forward, you have to take an actual vote here tonight, right? Is that what you have to do?
Yeah.
So if you're going to vote yes, then starting tomorrow,
Mhm.
I'm going to continue the SNAP application process. I started it, but I couldn't go very far
Right.
because for two reasons, they were asking me very specific questions about the market. And they also need somebody at the town level who can authorize payments.
Mhm.
Even though these are very tiny fees, it's still, and I guess it's nobody on this commission. It's Michael. Is that who it is?
So, yeah, I would say it's.
Okay, well, I'll just go talk to Michael.
Right, right.
And I'll do all that and then we'll move forward as fast as possible on the SNAP. And it'll still take them at least a month after I complete the application. So And if they drag their feet a little bit, it's possible it could be as long as 8 weeks from tonight before we actually get the SNAP approval. 4 to 8 weeks. But I was told also that we're much better off starting as soon as possible because they get busier in March. So this is the perfect time to do this. And then once we get approved for SNAP, we take the next step, which is getting approved for the market match, which is a local Berkshire agricultural venture thing. And I've talked to them up to the point that I can talk to them since we don't have the SNAP approval yet, but they know that we're going to be applying for it. But my understanding is that they have adequate funding, but it's also limited.
Right.
So the faster we get approved for SNAP, the more likely it is we can do the market match. And the market match and SNAP are critical for a successful market.
Right.
What we can't do is we can't be part of the healthy incentive program this year because the state isn't adding anybody in now. For whatever reason, they're not adding new people. And I don't know why that is, but they simply aren't.
Yeah.
And I've been told that by 3 different people now.
Yeah.
So, but that's not critical. It'd be real nice to have the HIP program, but it's not critical the way the other 2 things are.
And we're cleared to use the space?
I think if we've had preliminary talks about it, but I think we just have to firm it up and say we are moving forward to it and get that one, go Parks Department or recreational and just confirm it and kind of seal it. You know, they know we're interested, but we haven't said that we're definitely doing it.
I do have one other question.
Yeah.
The town is clearly set up to take credit and debit payments already, but I don't know if you can do that at the farmer's market itself, but somehow
Visible that goes into your phone, you just need to have the credentials.
yeah, so
You think about the arts fair that happens in August. Everybody there takes credit cards with their phones.
the individual people.
Yeah.
Yeah, the vendors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So the question is, okay, so basically when people come to the farmer's market to buy stuff, some of them are going to go straight to the vendors and some are going to come to our desk first and use their SNAP cards to get market match tokens.
Right.
So if people walk in with a credit card, I guess what we're going to have to, we're going to be basically telling all the vendors they have to be able to process their own credit cards as opposed to the town processing all the payments, maybe. Is that what we're saying here?
Well, so yeah, basically, in my understanding is that there would be, and we'll have to see if the town hall can do this, either a signal or a lot of these systems, these POS systems can take information offline. And then when the farmer gets back to their Wi-Fi or whatever, they upload them to their system with their phone. So whether there is actual Wi-Fi here from the town offices or not.
Well, I was told by Michael that there would be.
Well, so
He told me that they were set up to broadcast Wi-Fi outside.
perfect.
But the vendors sell directly.
Yeah.
The town doesn't handle the money
Yeah.
for a purchase from a farmer.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So that being said, looking at tonight, any other discussion before?
Yeah, we need to sort
Yeah.
of determine what date in July we're going to start and what date in August we're going to stop.
So let me just pull up the calendar here. Let's see here. Okay.
Do we want to be open on Labor Day weekend?
No, the Wednesday before. You don't want to mess with.
Oh, that's true. It's when there's no
Yeah.
Wednesday's not Labor Day anyway, right? So it'd be the Wednesday before, exactly. Yeah.
Well, if we want to end on
If we're-
the Wednesday before Labor
That'd
Day,
be
we
good.
want it to run for 6 weeks and we're starting on July
Yeah.
24.
Yeah,
So what's the date in August?
28th.
20.
So it'd be July 24th to August 28th. How's that sound in people's?
Sounds really exciting. Yeah,
Well, it's, yeah, I mean,
Great,
whatever you want to do, however many weeks you want to do it.
yeah,
Um,
that seems like a good amount to start.
Yeah,
Okay.
keep it.
maybe the only thing that we might want to do is when we go back and say that to the vendors, see if any of them have any reason why they might want to start earlier,
Right,
depending on what their harvest kind of situation is.
yeah. Like I said, I think this is a good starting.
Yeah.
And then to get everyone, because they're gonna be the.
But we would be ending on August 28th regardless.
Yeah.
That's when we're ending.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I would make a motion that we approve you to do the SNAP application.
Second.
second. All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
And are you already, but don't you have to vote that you're doing the farmer's market in the first place?
Yes, and
Yeah.
the dates.
Well, the one question I have is because last year when we took the vote to go to the select board, and we already brought it in front of the select board to do that, and that was in part of hiring. So the farmer's market part
It's already approved.
is already approved, from what I understand. It's the dates now, what we're talking about today. So what I'll say is I'll make a motion to have the farmers markets from July 24th to August 28th right now. I'll bring that to the select board and to bring it to them, to confer with them, to make sure that we're okay.
Yes,
How, do I have a second? Second.
Eric said.
All in favor said aye.
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 you also need to approve Stewart's date and time, Wednesday, 3 to 6. So it's all a package and you're doing it a piece at a time.
Oh, I see. So, all right, so we'll say, I'll make a motion, Wednesdays, 3 to 6, for the farmer's market.
And or you want to keep the dates separate from that? Is it
You
separate?
should- you
Well,
really should put them all together.
yeah, I was gonna say, if we want to put it all together, we'll put it all together from July 24th to August 28th,
3 to 6.
3 to 6, Wednesdays
At Town Hall.
at Town Hall
Right.
In stock.
in stock.
I think you got it.
You got it?
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Just a thought.
Yeah,
Nobody's gonna have a problem with this, and the next select board meeting is until September 15th. I might just send something to the selectmen saying, if you want to discuss on your agenda, please let me know
Yeah.
by Friday or Thursday or something. Otherwise, these are our dates.
mm-hmm.
And that way you can kind of get started before there's
Right.
another 2 weeks.
Well, I think, yeah, I think in that vein too, that's what I'll do. And for your
Nobody's
sake,
gonna care.
yeah, you start going and get the.
I'm gonna start, and then if it somehow got aborted, okay, fine.
Yeah, and I think too, we can connect after and just make sure with Michael about payment of how he's gonna give the money over, or who's.
Well,
that part.
the payments, the net payments are gonna be really low.
Right,
At first, my understanding of it is the town of Stockbridge has to agree to pay some fees, but then there's some grants to cover it. And so like there's equipment that the town has to buy to be able to process SNAP.
Right.
There's also a grant that they get. And so first you agree to pay and then 10 seconds later you get a grant for it or something like that. But you have to still go through that
the motions,
loop.
yeah.
Okay.
So that's what we'll sit down with Michael to figure out how that, we'll make sure that it's smooth
You
and.
want me just to talk to him directly or do you want?
You can, yes.
Talk to him directly and see what.
Perfect.
Because he has to, he would be the one that would sign off on all that
Yeah.
anyway, right?
Yeah. Perfect. Great.
Okay.
Just two other questions.
Yeah.
Somebody talking to the Chamber of Commerce to just like to get it on the calendar.
Mm.
And the other one
For
would be
advertising.
for the promoting this,
Mhm.
did we fund any money to promote this? Because it
I
isn't
have to
the
go
next
back.
fiscal year. Are you gonna ask? Because now's budget time.
We should get,
Well, I gotta go see, part of what I've talked to Michael about is see where we are at with funding the position for steward, because when we approved it, I think it was $10,000, but I have to go back and check. And that included, part of that was payment for the position and part was any materials or anything like that. So I have to go back and revisit that with Michael and see where we are at, because that was anticipating a farmer's market last season. So it's a good question. I don't know how much.
Maybe question budget, where the budgets go over the next season and, just,
Mm-hmm.
but I would consider promotional money separate from the,
Is it appropriate to, for instance, at some point, I could make up a promotional email? Can that promotional email be run through the town's email system? Like, because I get emails from the town, which I assume everybody in town gets these emails. And that's almost a no-cost promotion that would go out to everybody. Is that not an appropriate use of that system?
I don't see why not.
we might have to just get it approved by whoever handles it.
Right.
By Michael or whoever handles it, or the.
Yeah.
And that's separate from the Chamber of Commerce, which I don't know that we need to actually pay them anything to send out PR. Because, we just give them press releases and such, and
Right.
Because other farmers markets, actually every week,
Mhm.
they send promotional emails featuring what they're having, who's going to be there and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. I don't see why not, but that's stuff, maybe you can, if you're meeting with Michael, check in.
Yeah.
Start seeing that.
All right.
Great.
yeah.
Is there anything else that you had on your list?
Very tiny little things. Does the town of Stockbridge have canopies?
Hmm.
Because every vendor, some of them don't have canopies, and we need a canopy at the desk to either shelter from sun or rain.
Oh, like a pop-up.
Just like a dining fly kind of thing is what we're talking about. I
Right.
don't know if the town has that kind of stuff or not.
That would be a good question if we have a stand, good question for Michael to see if there's anything up in the attic. But in terms of, for the vendors themselves, I'm under the assumption they would have whatever they want.
Some of them do.
Right.
Some of them don't.
And that's their,
And if the town doesn't have canopies, we can just say to the vendors, bring a canopy, go get one.
exactly,
And that's what we would say. But I thought if the town had some in the attic.
in the attic. Well, I think, and this goes to as it grows, the severe weather threat or something like that, if this becomes more and more of a thing and bigger, thinking about the gymnasium as a potential rain day, if there's a rain.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Okay.
We have we can talk and see what that would mean to have everyone indoors.
We should plan for that eventuality.
Right.
So actually, another thing to put on your list with Michael, what's the process for us getting
Yeah, okay.
approval to move into the gym as if needed,
Okay.
increment with.
they want to schedule that, so we want to block the dates out.
Right. Cool. Well, thank you for
Yeah.
getting this all together,
Yeah.
keeping it moving.
And since we're not starting till July 24th, this gives us plenty of time to put it all together.
Well, it's getting there. Now it's getting together.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We're getting ahead of the curve, unlike last year when we started too late.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, going back here. Where was I? Okay. So, does anyone mind flip-flopping just because Patrick's here tonight? Doing the CPA first before composting?
Um,
All right, come on up, Patrick.
I emailed you guys this, so you can check your county.
No, I didn't.
There.
Was that good, huh? Okay.
come up.
Patrick?
Do you want to sit up here?
For sure.
Okay.
So the one other thing that happened today is, they appointed a new MVP rep. Her name is Emma Sass. And I met her today and I actually sent this to her and she thought it might make for a good regional grant as well. So, so if it's something you like, I don't know, do the other towns have agriculture and forestry commissions?
I know Sheffield does.
Yeah, and I
And
think
Stockbridge, Great Barrington does.
Great Barrington does, yeah, yeah,
You might want to kind of,
yeah.
you know, basically the idea, I had a China conversation with Ken Gooch,
Mhm.
who very much like to be involved in helping to both evaluate the hardy species, but also maybe train the crews who might be planting them.
Mhm.
Same with Jeff Jourdain, so we have a lot of options in terms of both the expertise and the crews of kids who might actually put them together if it weren't volunteers.
So what's your question about other towns?
Well, yeah, the question is why pay for it with our money if we can get the state to pay for it with theirs? So MVP grants are usually more successful if you do a regional grant.
Gotcha.
Because, and part of why I'm asking is, I had sent out maybe when we first started,
Mhm.
that the Northern Berkshires has a collaboration with towns all working together. It would be great if we could get
Yeah,
that going down here. Sheffield, I know is pretty active. I don't know how.
maybe if
active
you guys want to
Great-
assign somebody, because Emma said this week or next week she wants to do a Zoom. So I don't know if anybody wants to work on this, I'd be happy to.
Assign somebody for what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just to
For this?
explore the MVP thing specifically. I mean, this is easy. I can submit this to CPA if it's all right. And it could be that it's a little too ambitious, but let them scale it back. Ken explained how they do the GPS map, how he does the GPS mapping. So it's really easy. Now it's all web app based. And as well as how to create the GPS overlay on the town's GPS map. So it's pretty straightforward. And what Green Acres liked about it is, sometimes the crews you might sell 3.5 days of cruise in a 5-day week. And so having a little bit of flexibility for crews to be able to fit in the
Right.
balance might make it
So
attractive.
Jeff Jourdain thinks that the management plan that is in place for the watershed could accommodate adding more trees than what he's currently planning.
I mean, I think that how I would look at it is it's a big town and the watershed is a small part of the big town.
Well,
And-
actually, the watershed is a big part of the town's properties.
Yes, I think we budget for a couple hundred plantings a year right now. And so, with CPC, there's not a requirement to spend all the funds in a 12-month period. It's an allotment. So if it took us 18 months or 24 months to ramp up, clearly we're going to need to be planting more trees. And clearly there's other properties in addition to around Lake Havert that we might want to take a look at.
Well, okay, so town-owned properties, we've got the watershed, which has a management plan. We've got the Stockbridge Forest, Stockbridge Mountain, which has a management plan. We've got Gould Meadow, which is a meadow, has a little bit of forest. It may have a management plan, I'm not sure. We got the cemetery, which we're not going to fill up.
No.
That's about it. I mean, we got a few other very small parcels. So, I mean, the
Well,
idea of planting 1,000 trees, it just seems, I don't see where we can put them.
Really?
Yeah.
I have 3 acres and it probably has 1,000 trees on it. It's not, they're dying and I mean, so many species are dying off right now. It's like they're trying to basically fill in the canopy so that that the invasives don't spread up and everything else. But,
And I think I had mentioned to you before, and I don't know if this would qualify here, but just Tora, when she came to the Concom, you may have been there, really was advocating for trees along waterways throughout
Yeah.
Stockbridge. The waterway going into the bowl, said really needed more trees.
yeah.
All along the river needs more trees. There's a lot that are dying, so I don't know what's town property among
That's,
that?
that's the question is,
Yeah.
does the
There's a
town
lot
actually
of-
have authority over that, the land that, because, yeah, the waterways, she mentioned that and Concom folks mentioned that when in a meeting here. Planting trees in areas, and when the Concom was here, it seemed like the problem was, yeah, we really need to plant trees in places where actually we don't have authority to do so because it's private land.
Right.
So I'm just not sure how we would implement. I mean, it's a great idea to plant a whole lot of trees. I'm just not sure we actually have
How about on
authority to do so.
Laurel Hill properties?
Well, I mean, again, it's private land, but I mean, they're forested.
They're forested, but to Patrick's point, there's a lot that are dying. There really are.
Right. Well, I guess, I mean, if we really,
And maybe we,
it's a heck of an undertaking to go.
any space that's available, that any CPC funding requires a public component. So any space is open to the public could conceivably join in the effort, and maybe there needs to be a component of this that allows for some town body to work with folks where the land is available to the public, like for example, Norm Rockwell Museum, you can walk the land. All right, so why not make it so the program is available to nonprofit landowners? I don't see a problem with that. I mean, I don't know if town council's got it or not, but
Well, that's an interesting, I mean, a couple of years ago, I ran into Lori Muffet.
Mhm.
And they were interested, they had, we never got back around to it, but when they found out the Ag and Forestry Commission were coming back up, they were interested in talking about some of their forested property on the backside. I don't know what they were talking about. I don't know where they were going with it. But maybe that's, without adding too much value to anyone's property by planting a bunch of black walnuts or hemlocks or something like that. Maybe it would get around, because like you said, there's
Yeah.
the properties we don't have control of are some of the ones that we need
And I
to
think they're the
plant.
ones that need it most. And that's what, because I'm looking at, thinking about the properties that the town owns. Well, of course, trees are dying there, but still, it just seems like Stockbridge Mountain is really difficult to get into. I mean, planting that, I'm not sure it's even practical. So, and looking at town-owned properties, it just seems like it's a good idea, but we don't have the properties to make it work well. If we can open it up to other landowners, then we spread them out.
Or properties with public access.
Yeah, right. Because after all, CPC funds, I mean, there are restrictions for open space. You can't just, I'm not even sure. Looking at the open space category in CPA, I'm not even sure that this qualifies, but that's not, I mean, it doesn't seem like it qualifies, but we can let the CPC decide that.
Eric, you have something?
Yeah, the area around the reservoir, they work at quite a bit, and that's what I thought we were aiming at. If we don't use the whole 50,000 the first year, we certainly use it the second. I don't know how many trees they take down. Whether they bring in somebody to take them down and get them out of there, the ones that are dying. So $50,000 doesn't seem like a lot of money to me to try and accomplish that.
Another,
I would just, I would submit the proposal as is and not worry about the other things.
and on top of that, the other way I could envision it is like, if we didn't, like, we don't have to spend it in the 12 months, right?
Right.
To your point, and what we hear is the deer are the biggest problem and they keep killing off everything they keep planting. So that's why we need the sleeves. But so if we assume that of these 1,000 trees, that wherever we've tried putting them, 20, 30, 40, 50% may not make it to maturity because the deer might get to them or something might actually bite them. You know, bug might get in there before they come to maturity. So it's almost like thinking of it as like our reserve supply, to use a term, of maybe having these like 1,000 trees in our back pocket when we need to reforest something. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, you're also including street trees.
Well, I
So
put it in there,
it's-
especially, did anybody hear the Tom Zetterstrom presentation the other night?
I've heard of
Saturday.
before, but what is it?
He's the elm expert, Dutch elm disease expert who took all the world famous photos that have been in New York Times and Time Magazine, all the rest of it. And he pointed out that we have some challenges with the way that the Main Street trees were trimmed in a way that isn't going to make them be successful.
Mhm.
And I think that, you know, that there's really going to be two components of need. One is really more ornamental, and the other has to do with, you know, carbon sequestration and the challenges of, you know, kind of hardy species. So I want to do it more generally, so there might be funding to both improve our streetscapes and, you know, improve our planet.
Well, and to be clear though, this pricing is for basically little tiny sapling, like,
Yeah,
yeah. So just so we're clear, we're not buying already beautiful trees that are gonna be ornamental
it
already.
might be $1,000 a tree or something.
Well, is that, yeah,
Well,
So I'm just saying that, you know, you could conceivably start to have a plan,
right.
a little bit of flexibility, you could start to have a plan to figure out if, you know, I'm certainly in no position to know whether or not the way that a tree's been.
think of what went in on the Main Street in Great Barrington a few years ago.
Oh, yeah.
I
Right,
was
the pear
part
trees.
of that planning,
Mhm.
and they weren't huge and they weren't tiny, but now they're a respectable
They're
size.
respectable, yeah. Oh, yeah,
They're
yeah,
Good, and that was 10 years.
Yeah,
10 years.
Probably $200 each.
Yeah, they weren't,
by the time you put them in and, you know, if there's sidewalk that maybe
and there was
have to be pulled
mortality
up,
there. There was
you know, it's like,
mortality.
yeah, there's planted
Yeah.
trees in the, you know,
Yeah, you lose some.
Well, maybe to that point, and this would be, and I don't know if we can fit this into this application. Maybe it would be good literally to have a little bit of a nursery stock. And maybe this would be something that, honestly, I don't want to add more work to anyone, but you know, if Mark, you know, I had great talk with Mike Buffoni. You know, he's been taking care of some nice nursery stock of his own for his own property.
Mhm.
But maybe somewhere, some town property, we have a nice protected area where we could start growing a nice row of trees, start getting them up to a bigger size, because they can be transplanted later on,
Good
you
idea.
know, but just have them in a protected area where we could plant them in a ornamental position later on.
yeah.
It seems like whatever we do here,
Mhm.
assuming the CPC approves it, which,
Mhm.
well, it doesn't look like it fits their criteria, but
Mhm.
that's their decision. But if they approve it, we have a lot of practical stuff to work out.
Right.
Of who's gonna actually do a lot of this stuff.
Right.
And it's one thing to say to Jeff Jordan, you've got extra trees available to plant on, you know, in the watershed when, if you have places to put them. It's something else to start looking at other properties and managing, you know, talking to landowners,
Mhm.
getting them trees, giving them directions on how to get, you know, put them in.
Right.
Keeping track of who's got the plastic sleeves. And so that, you know, 4 years down the road, we can collect the plastic trees and reuse them on some other trees. I mean, the whole thing is a management effort.
Yeah.
And we're not, I mean, you know, we're not equipped for it.
Well, I just use the example of what we did at Ice Glen, where we hired Ken Gooch to manage the process. This has been multi-year in nature, where we, you know, where we track by the tree, what year they get inoculated, where we know when we have to go back, where we do tree health surveys. I mean, we have somebody that we pay as part of the process, which is what that $25 to $50 price tag goes in on.
And
You know, that was what Jeff said, the cost was per tree all in, including labor. So I'm not envisioning that, you know, we're going to be out there kind of collecting sleeves ourselves. I'm sure not. But, it seems like this is the sort of thing that might lend itself to a outsourced management effort.
Yeah,
somewhere
I
along
think it's
the-
the only way to do it.
Oh, of course, yeah, I agree.
And you're looking at funding from both CPC and
Well,
and MVP. both.
Yeah, I mean, just take a step back. What I think is important is that municipalities start thinking about strategies to keep the planet green, and we have it's depressing, but how many at-risk species we have that can create huge holes in forests. We already saw that happen in the watershed with the ash trees recently, and many species before it. And I, so many times these opportunities start with making sure there's a line item in the budget, and this is due Thursday. And so,
I agree,
Yeah.
and I definitely would like to see it go to CPC. I would also not underestimate nature's capacity to leave forest on these big.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think they do.
I'm going to make a motion to submit it to the CPC as presented by Patrick.
I would second.
All in favor?
All right.
Aye.
But Patrick, I mean, you're gonna work this back into their format?
Yeah, with.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you want to talk tomorrow? Maybe we can improve it a little. I mean, if that's okay with everyone. I don't know if there's some holes we could
But
fill in.
the only
I'm open to changing that, Shelby. I just kind of,
The only thing I would add, and I think I sent you
Mhm.
too, that, I think it was from DCR, how to plant related to climate change.
Okay.
It should be a climate change.
Okay.
piece in this.
and you did send
And
that
there
back?
were- I sent it to you yesterday, and they were recommended, if you didn't get it, let me know. There
So
were recommended
Just-
species.
just to honor the vote we just took.
Yep.
So to make sure, I'll make a motion as long as everyone is on board, to add a climate component.
Yep.
And for the shared spaces component that we were talking about, public spaces,
Okay.
component.
Did you?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second.
All right.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'll check to see if I got.
Okay.
I'll see you.
If not, let me know. Did you get it?
Which one?
Because maybe it didn't go through.
About,
DCR
yes,
document, you did get it.
yes, I did.
Because they have recommended species in there that I
Okay.
add.
Forward me that, just in case.
Yes.
If my name's on it, then that's fine.
And Patrick, too, while you're here, because I did
Thank you.
call Colin about what we talked last time about enforcement for, so I had a long talk with him too, just to figure out what we could do. Basically, the answer I got back was not much.
Yeah.
And just to be clear, because we talked about this at our last meeting, he said that, when they sign the contracts for these agreements, they're the only ones that can walk onto private property that they've signed a contract with. The only way we can be involved or help them is when it comes across either the COMCOM or like planning board. When someone is building a home or something on one of these properties, it's really on them to know that there is an agreement with the state and to let him know if there's any concern. So it's more, we manage our public forest here, and, as best we could. So we know what's going on. We're not building any homes. But that's that's the only thing we can do. So I didn't end up writing up anything for the CPA to hire someone to go out and investigate, because that would be getting us into.
No, I don't think that, we're not the forest police.
Right.
But certainly we can help educate the benefits of the conservation.
board, yeah.
I know, sorry, Mr. Pino says, are you talking about CRs or forest management plans?
Forest management plans.
Yeah,
Mostly.
I'm glad you had that, because I was gonna raise that. I looked into it some, and they're not enforceable. I mean, there's nothing to enforce. It's
Right.
it's voluntary.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the enforcement comes, Colin, his department or where he works, that would be the person who would go there and judge whether they're clearing had been in lines.
Yeah.
Because they can't stump grind.
Right.
You
Well,
can't.
this has to do with the tax benefits of chapter 61.
Right, and six,
Well, that's
yeah,
not a forest management plan.
Right, that's a
That's-
specific,
right,
That has to do with basically a contract between the state and the
Yeah.
town where people get 80, 90, 95% reduction in their taxes in
well, yeah,
exchange for.
right, that's its
you know.
own thing, but forest management plans are
Right.
just, you
Right.
want to have basically some advice
No,
on what to do.
that's
And
it's completely different.
yeah.
right, right.
And I looked at, into the CR thing, because I saw that was in the minutes. And, if the town is holding a CR on somebody's land, then we can, well, the town can monitor it. But if it's something like with Laurel Hill property where the, the land trust holds the CR,
Yeah,
then we're out of it.
Yeah.
It's, and also frankly, if we do, if the town does hold CRs, we're supposed to have, an enforcement plan.
Yeah.
I mean, we're supposed to have a plan for how, we're supposed to monitor it every year.
right.
And then if there are violations, we're supposed to have a plan for how we deal with them, without going to court. I mean, with
Right.
working with
Yeah.
the landowners. So
Does the town have some CRs?
I have no idea.
But does that fall under conservation?
I
Yeah, that'd be
think the
Conservation
Conservation
Commission.
Yeah,
Okay.
so,
Yeah, so I think that's really the Conservation Commission's area.
Mhm.
cool. So that was one bit of update, though. I wanted to make sure we were clear from our last.
And the only thing I throw out is kind of,
Mhm.
it seems like institutional knowledge is one of the things that sometimes you get turned over at a volunteer nonprofit or a volunteer board or volunteer Concom, this board, whatever. I think that I can't think of a better place because of your mission where not so much having the responsibility, but the educational component of, if you're in this business, this is what you got to make sure that you're doing, because, I think that if I'm reading between the lines, people are doing this at varying degrees of success and, just be good to keep reminding folks of
Right,
what those duties entail.
yeah.
All right, good. Anything else?
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
All right, on to composting. Which I think I may turn over a little bit to Abigail. And Lisa, if you had a visit in between our last meeting to Sheffield.
Yeah, I had contacted Renee Wood, who met with Abby and I. And Abby took great pictures of the setup.
Yeah.
And I'll let you elaborate on the pictures, but the take home message for me was what a simple setup they had that was really effective.
Mhm.
And it almost seemed staged because somebody came right while we were there and was very happy to demonstrate how she gets rid of her compost every week. And she went on and on about how happy she was to have this.
Mhm.
And Renee was really gracious and emailed me after our visit and just said, any help we need. She got the original grant for the setup in Sheffield, and she said, any help we need to just let her know. So and I would pass that to Abby because I think this is your project.
Mhm.
But if you need more help from her, don't hesitate to reach out.
I agree. It was great to see something like that functioning in person. I think it puts it in a perspective. I love seeing how simple it was. She just had 2 buckets out there and then an additional smaller bucket for folks to put their plastic bags in. The woman we talked to who brought her compost in, it was funny. She actually, I think she was phrasing it and she had it in a plastic Ziploc bag in the freezer. So that was fun to see.
Mm.
And apparently their town collects 2,500 pounds per month. So it was interesting to hear. I searched for the website and I don't know if I could. I don't think I I saw a couple things on there about compost. She said visit the website, but yeah, it was a good meeting.
And it
Hey,
goes
Abby,
to
I
Stanton
have a-
Farm.
Well, I'm sorry. I
was
just
gonna
had a question.
Yep,
Do they have it picked up every day?
yep, they do.
Yep.
What is the cost?
The, the cost is paid with the transfer fee. I don't know what it is, but it's paid with
Mhm.
whatever people pay for their transfer sticker.
I wrote down here, I think originally it was 40 and then being subsidized. I have the number 24 written down, so I would assume. I don't know if you remember that, but I think it would end up being 24. We can also reach out again.
It does get picked up daily and delivered to Stanton Farm every day that they're open, not daily.
Which is how many days?
I think they're open. Well, we went on a Saturday.
Mhm.
I didn't ask how many days, but we asked about bear,
Mhm.
and she said bears have not been a problem, and these were not bear-proof containers.
Mhm.
Well, if it's picked up every day, it might be.
That they're open,
Yeah.
yeah. that they're
That's,
open.
yeah.
She said bear gets into what did she say, Abby? Bear got into something, but not into
I
the.
think it was the trash. I think they're more interested in the trash than the compost because of the smell. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, at least the internet is saying that they are open Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So open 4 days a week, closed 3 days a week. Which is different than
Yeah.
Stockbridge.
What is Stockbridge?
Is it?
6 or 7?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are residents, can people in Sheffield get the finished compost?
No, goes to Stanton.
But, okay.
Oh,
I
but
mean-
does Stanton distribute?
Well, I don't know. I mean, that's just something I've always wondered about. I mean, you pay somebody to basically take your compost away and turn it into compost. It's not a very labor intensive process at all to turn it to compost, raw stuff into compost. And then they sell it. It's like, well, hang on. I mean,
Right.
could we make an arrangement where like some amount of what we deliver to them becomes available to us when it's finished?
Well, I think, this is what we've always talked about, the farm with our CSA members of like, how much compost would they bring and generate for us? And, it's hard to quantify because the amount you actually get from a 5-gallon bucket, like when you bring a 5-gallon bucket of food scraps, the teaspoon of compost that you get out of that is so, minimum. So, in my way of thinking about it is like, okay, it goes to Stanton Home, we're supporting a farmer who's then growing it, and we're getting it back as vegetables.
I see. I didn't know who Stanton Farm was, because I think about like Meadow Farm.
Right.
And it's called farm, but it's a business.
It's a business.
And they
right.
sell the compost.
Right.
So that's why I was thinking, well, if it's gonna go to a farm and they're gonna actually use it, then
I think Stanton uses it, and I know they
Yes,
have
yes.
signs up all year long, bring your
Leaf
leaves,
drops,
bring
yep.
your everything.
They definitely use it.
That's
Use
good.
it. Yeah,
To the, again, Meadow Farms is a business, not necessarily agriculture, but I know people go there to buy compost
Well, yeah, that's the thing.
and mulch.
People pay them to
Right.
take the materials, which they
Right.
turn into compost
Right.
and then they sell it. And I was like,
Well, and like this is getting into a broader conversation. On top of it all, the other reason we don't invite compost in is because it's really because of zoning. Because a lot of it is you have to be, no one wants to have a compost dump in their backyard. So that's why they don't let, they want truckloads of compost coming in and just any old neighborhood. So that's the other like component of it is, otherwise we would be accepting yards of compost material if we could. But the smell factor, it gets hairy and dicey. So that's also why I get it, why no one else is really popping up all over the place to make compost for everyone. And that's why I think Meadow Farms is out in the swamp lands there. by themselves.
Well, you also have to believe you have to be a compost site. You have to be registered with the state. It's
Yeah,
also not as simple as you just put it there. First of all, it has to be mixed with wood, chips, to work, and it's turned over. Meadow Farms takes them 2 years. Then they have to sift it to get out the bones and the other stuff.
stickers, so many fruit
Yeah,
stickers.
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
Yeah.
fair enough.
So it's not, yeah, it's a business, but it's not a costless one if you've seen the equipment. Plus, they allow residents, hey,
Yeah.
I want to take leaves and stuff. That's
Right.
free.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
It makes it's, when you said it, it makes you feel better because like I had the same thought you had. It's like you're giving this gold away. You feel like it's gold and then they're just making money off of you, but they're not. It's not that easy as Eric
I
said.
can see that composting at that level is different from what I do in the backyard.
Yeah.
Well, if
Because it
you
doesn't take a lot of
drive
effort.
by Canton Farm, you
Yeah.
can see the big pile.
Pile,
There's
yeah.
massive piles out there.
Yeah.
So they've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah.
So how do we keep this moving forward?
So, I guess to add, Matt and I had a conversation at the transfer station with Mark. I think that was back in December, and we told him about all the things we've been thinking about. So I reached out and he got back to me just a couple days ago. He's saying that he thinks handouts at the transfer station could be beneficial. He actually has those boxes that you can put the handouts in and folks can take them. So I'm wondering if another thing we could do to help move the process along is start looking at what we would want on handouts, and because he's handling the communication with Mike, and he's saying he hasn't contacted Mike yet. Let me read the email. He says in the very near future he will. So hopefully there will be another update coming soon.
And then as it moves forward, maybe we can have either Tommy's or
Mhm.
Mary. And I don't remember what Mary's business was, but no,
Berkshire
Mary,
composting.
maybe.
Yeah.
That's who does Sheffield, right? And I think she
It
does
was
other
Berkshire Compost. Yep.
Berkshire
Berkshire
composting.
composting. She does it at the town level and other places. So it might be good to invite one or both of them to.
Well, and I think to that point, maybe that would be probably the point where Mark probably figure out which one.
Yep.
Because he'll do the money and he'll figure out what it's going to be and kind of bring it to us, and then we can,
Yeah.
because I don't want to invite any kind of bidding or like
Oh, no,
like
I just thought information.
just informational. So, but I think, passing that to Mark, so he's feeling comfortable with whoever he's working with will be really important. And I saw that email, from him too, that he sent, and he points out the same thing that we were talking about, 6 to 7 days a week, they're open. So, but I think what he's looking at is like what Sheffield is just having like 3 days, the 3 busiest days of the week being the potential, so that it doesn't become every day of the week they're coming, because it seems like they'll just charge, per how many pickups we want, which will be good because we can just figure out we're going to have 2 days a week or 3 days a week, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And while we were,
Excuse me, is Sheffield open 5 or 6 days a week and they only do compost a few days?
no,
I think they're open 4 days a week from what she read.
4 days.
yeah,
Every day they're open, they do composting.
yeah,
I don't know that you can do that. And just say, well, bring it this day or that day.
right.
So just a rough number is about $12,500
Right.
to do 6 days, 52 weeks. And that doesn't include Sundays, because you want it open Sundays for at least in the summer for the second homeowners
Right.
that are interested.
Mhm.
Well, would we be really inviting bears if we let people come, drop off every day, but it's only picked up 3 times a week?
I think.
Oh, I'll guarantee you the bears will find it.
Right. Yeah, you would.
That's what I'm thinking too.
And on that point too, Mark had a few ideas about, they're looking to redo a couple areas, like if you've noticed, he's been slowly making everything really nice and underneath the roof there. And I think, not to speak before him, because I think he's working on this. But looking at that other corner that hasn't been touched in a while, which has a door and a shed almost in it. And he thought maybe that might be a good place that, it gets picked up every day, but there are gonna still be some barrels up around, putting them in that shed at night. Just so that they're behind a locked door. And then they'd be pulled back out in the morning when they open up. So I think he's got the gears turning to how to make it bear proof / easy for them to operate. But I think like Tabgo, he emailed to you, was saying that it's budget season and he's still dealing with that first. And then we'll go and talk to Michael. So
Also,
yeah.
when I reached out last week, I did bring up again that he is invited to the meeting. I wonder, maybe Matt, if you want to reach out to him and send him a maybe more formal invite. I know he said a couple months ago it's his day off, but
Yeah.
I'm wondering if at this point it would be really great to have him in for a meeting, so we can talk to him about this stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'll get a read from him too, because I think it'll be good once he's talked to Michael and already kind of got that, then he'll have more information for us. I'm glad he gave us an update though. That means he's still on it. And I mean, I'll see him at the dump this weekend, so I'll give him the update.
Did you send him the pictures, Gabby?
Did I send? Yeah, I added
Yes.
him in that email.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you
Great.
did.
So just to make sure we're moving forward, I think next week, Abigail, if we could share some pamphlets that we're looking at, and then at least next week we can choose a couple and figure out which ones we'll eventually want to print out.
Good.
Okay.
Like, yeah,
I sent over Susan sent me a lot of resources. The
yeah,
one that I particularly was looking at was the very last link. It's the Franklin County composting flyer. I like that there's a lot of information on it, but I'm wondering if maybe that could also backfire, and I don't know if I don't know what you guys are thinking about that, if we would want one that's less wordy, more pictures. I don't know if we want to figure or start talking about that today or next time.
let's give everyone time to review and come up with, be able to look at them, and then we'll just talk it over next time, what we saw and what we liked.
Great.
To make sure that we, are all looking at the same ones.
Yep.
And then that way, people also, to make it easy I get a lot of emails. So if it'll be easiest before the next meeting, send me the ones you're looking at, and then I'll put them in that email. My materials for review, just so everyone sees the same ones, to kind of collect the information in one spot.
Great.
Cool. Awesome. All
I
right.
think that's a good one.
So, finally, Arbor Day.
Arbor Day, so I did order. I placed the order, we ordered 25 hazelnut, 25 black walnut, and 25 witch hazel. And that will go with some from Monument Mountain, right? Abby?
Yes. I think I can't remember if I gave you the update last time or not, but anyways, April says she will have some, but
Yep.
she's also saying that not all the ones that she started are gonna make it. So she told me that she was relieved to hear that we're gonna be supplementing that and have a lot. So
And I talked to the greenhouse manager and we can do what we did last time, have patients help to
Mhm.
pot them. She thought she had pots, we haven't looked yet, so hopefully we'll get the pots from there too.
Great.
And we're still looking at the 26th from noon to 3, is that what we said? And when hopefully this nursery in New York would not commit definitely to having them on the 26th. So I hope we
Right.
don't have to cross that bridge, but
Right.
everybody's aware we may not have them for that
Gotcha.
day.
Okay.
But we wanted you there and we wanted
Yeah.
Abby there. So we're gonna stick with that day and
So
hope for
April
the best.
26th, that's a Saturday, I think.
It's a Friday.
Friday.
It's actually Arbor Day,
Oh,
whatever day
right,
Arbor
actually
Day
works.
really is. And we'll use the same space we did before. And I think, Abby, you said students would make flyers about or do some informational.
Yes.
parts?
April let me know that I think she's gonna get a select few kids involved, kids that she thinks would be, trustworthy to let on Main Street of Stockbridge. And she'll have them make that informational flyer that we had the last time.
Yeah, you did a nice job on it last time too. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'll see if the nursery school will do another poster also.
Right.
And then maybe we can get it in Stockbridge updates
Mhm, mhm.
and just sitting on that corner
Yeah,
will
Yeah,
get people.
that's
Yeah,
the place.
yeah.
great,
I
awesome.
think we're on the way.
Cool. Well, thank you for both organizing that and keeping that moving forward. That's huge. All right. Not hearing anything else.
I have something else.
Yes.
We can't discuss it or take action on it, but the right to farm law that we passed, I think 3 years ago, one of the main purposes of that is for realtors, when they list the property, to say, check off the box that says, yes, it's a right to farm community.
Mm,
My neighbor just listed his house, and it's with Stonehouse Properties, and I just looked at the listing, and it says, right to farm, no.
Hmm.
So
Huh.
I'd like an agenda item for a next meeting. Basically, right to farm realtor notification.
Mhm.
all right.
I'm done.
No, that's great. Thank you for seeing that and hearing that. So I'll put that on the next agenda.
And we have a guest. I don't know if the guest.
Oh, no,
say
that's,
anything.
that's my wife. She just wanted to,
Oh, hello. Hello. You can say something if you want.
she may not still be.
She may not be listening anymore. It's getting too late, that's why. So that being said, I'll make sure that is on the agenda for next time. Same with the pamphlets, Abigail. And we'll see what else pops up between now and then. So next meeting should be
March 4th.
March 4th, yeah. As long as that's good with everyone. And the one thing I will put out there now in the universe that, and most of you know, some of you don't, I am expecting my first child in early May. So I'm just putting out there now, if we do want to have a meeting then, I'm gonna let you all decide. But I might be a little distracted around that time.
But you mean you're not gonna make sure you come no matter what?
I don't know if I can even zoom in at that moment, so just putting that
You
out
might be
there.
a little busy.
I might be a little busy. So thank you all for keeping this all moving. On that, I'll make a motion to close. Do I have a second?
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
All right.
I
Thank you all.